Have you ever found yourself sort of caught between the public image of someone famous, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Especially those people who are supposed to be like guiding others or giving advice.
Exactly. And then you hear about their private lives, and well, it can be really complex. It's fascinating how those things get tangled up, the personal and the professional.
Deeply intertwined. Yeah.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into exactly that kind of layered story. We're looking at Dr. Doug Weiss and Joanne Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission here is pretty clear. We want to pull out the really important bits, the key knowledge from the sources you've given us, give you a clear, concise picture of, their relationships, the whole ministry impact, and the intense public scrutiny they faced.
And it's important to remember this isn't just about them personally, though that part is compelling. It's really a case study, isn't it? About how individual choices can just ripple outwards.
Before we move further in the podcast, we will appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section.
Yeah, ripple's a good word.
Especially in public life and organizations, and maybe particularly within these faith-based communities, you see how private decisions hit a much bigger stage.
Okay, let's unpack this then.
Yeah.
Starting with the first marriage we need to discuss.
Yeah.
Dr. Doug Weiss and Lisa Weiss.
The long-standing one?
Right. Married for over 30 years. That's a long time. Before the divorce came through in 2022.
Mm.
And their partnership, it wasn't just, personal life. It was deeply professional, too. Lisa's a registered nurse, and the sources say she actively supported his practice. They even wrote books together, relationship books.
Co-authored, yeah. And co-founded the Heart-to-Heart Counseling Center.
So they really put forward this image, this united front, advocates for healthy relationships.
Which makes what happened next kind of jarring for people.
Totally. Because despite that strong image, challenges came up. The information suggests Doug's work, especially in sex addiction therapy.
Which demands a lot.
A lot of time, a lot of energy. And reportedly, that led to some emotional distance. It hit their personal relationship. So the divorce announcement, it really surprised a lot of people. I mean, especially because he's an expert in marriage counseling.
Right. The irony wasn't lost on observers.
And here's something else from the sources, kind of a surprising detail about his past.
Yeah.
His first marriage.
Oh.
Yeah, that one also ended after 12 years. And the sources mentioned it was following his then-wife's infidelity.
Wow. Okay. That definitely adds another layer to the whole picture, doesn't it? And what's fascinating here is Lisa Weiss's perspective on this recent divorce.
Yeah, what did the sources say about her side?
No, they really paint a picture of the immense emotional toll, just the pain of the separation itself, obviously, but also the shock, the hurt from Doug deciding to remarry so quickly.
That must have stung.
Yeah, and her feeling apparently that it was like an erasure, like their whole shared history was just wiped away. So she's apparently been on this really tough journey, kind of redefining herself after decades together, finding resilience.
That's understandable.
And then there's this specific point of contention that came out. Doug was reportedly still counseling patients at his center, acting like, he had this great marriage.
All going through the divorce.
Yes, even while he was apparently going through the divorce process for well over a year.
Bro.
And it gets more tangled. Reports say he was telling Denise Fox at Living Waters Ministry one thing, and then telling Joanne Lamb something quite different.
Wow. That must have been incredibly confusing and just difficult for Lisa, especially with their lives being so intertwined professionally, too.
Absolutely. Disorienting, as you said.
So, okay, Doug's own personal life is in turmoil. And then another really prominent figure enters the picture, Joanne Lamb.
Co-founder of Daystar Television Network.
Right, widely known.
Right.
Previously married to Marcus Lamb, her co-founder.
And Marcus, of course, sadly passed away back in November 2021 from COVID complications.
Yes. And what's really striking in the sources is just how fast things moved with Doug and Joanne.
The timeline is very compressed.
Extremely. Reports suggest they started dating around August 2022.
Which, if you do the math, is less than a year after Marcus Lamb died.
Exactly. Less than a year. Then, boom, engagement announced publicly. Joanne puts it on her Instagram, March 10th, 2023.
Okay.
And they were married just 3 months after that, June 10th, 2023. Private ceremony, close family, friends.
Wow, that is rapid.
There's even this little anecdote from one source describing Joanne acting like a giddy teenager running out to answer the call when she first started talking to Doug.
Huh. Interesting description.
Yeah. And apparently, initially, Joanne expressed interest, but she wanted to, quote, Do the honorable thing.
Meaning,
Meaning she wanted to make sure Doug and Lisa actually tried counseling first at Living Waters Ministry.
okay, so there was that step, at least according to that source.
Yeah.
Still, it's truly striking how quickly it all unfolded. And this raises an important question, obviously.
On motivations.
Exactly. Why the rapid union? And the sources kind of give us two main ways to look at it, two theories.
Okay, what's the first one?
Theory one is basically about emotional support. Shared experience. You know, they'd both suffered these huge personal losses. Joanne losing her husband, Doug losing this decades-long marriage.
Right. Trauma bonding, maybe?
Could be. The idea is their connection might have come from that mutual understanding of grief, of major life change, offering each other comfort, maybe healing.
Okay, that makes sense on one level.
Yeah,
Especially with that giddy teenager comment. Maybe leaning into that emotional connection.
possibly. But then you have the second theory,
Which is?
more about, well, professional considerations.
The strategic angle.
Kind of. Could their union be seen maybe as a strategic alliance? Something that boosts both their platforms, you know, helps solidify Joanne's leadership at Daystar, maybe expands Doug's audience in those faith-based circles.
Right. So how do we square those two? The emotional support versus the strategic alliance.
Well, that's the tricky part. And as the sources point out, the real challenge here is the lack of detailed communication from Doug and Joanne themselves about how it all started.
They haven't really explained it publicly.
Not in detail, it seems. And that silence, that lack of clarity, has really just fueled all the public speculation about what was really driving it.
So without them saying more, both theories are just theories based on the timeline, the context.
Pretty much. You look at the facts available and draw possible conclusions.
Okay, so naturally, a story like this, with such public figures, it just invites intense scrutiny, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was bound to happen.
And that's exactly what we saw after they got remarried. So here's where it gets really interesting. Let's dig into the fallout, the scrutiny. Starting specifically with Dr. Doug Weiss. What came his way?
Well, several things. Accusations started surfacing from former clients.
About his counseling.
Yeah, finding his counseling traumatizing is how some sources put it.
Oof, that's serious for a therapist.
Very serious. Then there were claims that he didn't have biblical grounds for divorcing Lisa, his wife, for over 30 years. That's a big deal in their community.
Right, the theological argument.
Exactly. And then on top of that, financial questions started popping up.
About his ministry.
Yes, Healing Time Ministries. Investigations reportedly found, or at least raised questions about questionable financial documents, specifically reporting significantly lower revenue than what was actually received, which naturally led to calls for audits.
Okay, so accusations about his practice, his divorce rationale, and his ministry's finances. That's a lot.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the controversies weren't just swirling around Doug. Joanne Lamb and Daystar Television Network were facing their own heat.
Okay, what was happening there?
Well, first, significant family problems. Familial discord. Joanne's own son, Jonathan Lamb, reportedly objected to her marriage to Doug, also on biblical grounds.
Following his father's passing so soon, perhaps? Or the grounds Doug used for divorce?
The sources suggest it was tied to the biblical grounds aspect, similar to the objections raised against Doug. And Jonathan alleged that because he objected,
Yeah?
it led to tensions, and eventually, he claims, he was dismissed from Daystar, pushed out.
His own family's network.
Yes. And he even claimed there was a smear campaign against him.
Wow. A smear campaign inside the family. That sounds incredibly messy and painful.
It does. And there's a pretty shocking anecdote related to this from the sources.
Yeah.
Joanne reportedly called someone the source doesn't say who just fit to be tied, really angry, really upset, even when nice things were being said about Jonathan. And she apparently said things like, Jonathan is trying to kill me.
Kill me, metaphorically, surely.
Presumably metaphorically, yes.
Yeah.
And destroying the company.
That's an intense language.
Very. She also reportedly defended someone named Pete, someone who Rebecca and JW, other family members presumably, won't let into their home. And called Susie, Jonathan's wife, a pathological liar who supposedly made accusations against a chiropractor who had passed away.
Good grief. This sounds less like corporate disagreement and more like deep, bitter family warfare spilling into the ministry.
It certainly paints a picture of profound dysfunction. And beyond the family fights, there were even more serious allegations aimed at Daystar's organizational integrity.
More serious than a smear campaign.
Yes. Claims of covering up sexual abuse within the organization.
Whoa. Okay, what were the specifics there?
Jonathan and Susie Lamb specifically alleged that their daughter had been molested by a family member,
Oh, no.
and that Daystar's leadership didn't handle the incident properly, covered it up, essentially.
That is a devastating accusation against a ministry.
Absolutely. And then, as if that weren't enough, there were also the financial issues at Daystar, specifically involving Joanie.
Related to the wedding or honeymoon.
The honeymoon, yes. Reports indicate Joanie Lamb charged, get this, approximately $100,000 to her Daystar credit card.
$100,000 for the honeymoon on the ministry card.
That's what the sources report. And she apparently only paid the ministry back after these expenses became public knowledge.
Oh, that doesn't look good.
No. It raised huge questions about financial oversight, personal use of ministry funds, you name it.
So you've got traumatic counseling claims, questionable divorce grounds, ministry finance issues for Doug, then family feuds, smear campaigns, horrific abuse, cover-up allegations, and major financial questions at Daystar involving Joanie.
It's, yeah, a perfect storm of controversy.
All of this together, I mean, it must have just hammered Daystar's reputation, audience trust, created huge operational headaches.
Undoubtedly, it's a massive amount to unpack, especially given how public these figures are.
So what does this all mean for you listening to this? When we step back from all these specific, often shocking details, we can see broader implications, right? Especially for leaders, people in positions of influence, particularly in faith communities.
Absolutely. This whole narrative, it just screams about the critical importance of transparency, ethical conduct, accountability. It's textbook almost.
But seeing it play out like this,
It really drives it home. It shows that complex interplay, doesn't it, between the personal actions of leaders and the public mission of their organization.
yeah, how one can undermine the other so easily.
And it highlights that constant challenge for public figures. Balancing your personal life, your personal decisions with the expectations that come with your public role, especially when your life is just under a microscope like theirs are.
So this deep dive, why it's valuable for you listening, is because it really shows how fast information overload can happen. It's messy, it's complicated. But by carefully unpacking the specifics like we've tried to do, you can hopefully gain some clarity. Clarity on these big issues, integrity, reputation, and just the human side of public life, even for those in the spotlight. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, the big takeaway is really the value in looking past the headlines, right? Dissecting these complex stories to understand the full picture.
Indeed. And maybe a final thought to leave you with, something to mull over. What does this particular story, the Weiss-Lamb saga, what does it really reveal about that constant push and pull, that tension between personal freedom and public accountability, especially for people whose personal and professional lives are just so visibly linked right out there in the public eye?
Yeah, it definitely makes you think about the sheer difficulty, the challenge of trying to maintain perceived integrity when your private life becomes such public fodder, a tough line to walk.